Welcome back to another video. We are going to be looking at how you can master your weight training so your gym sessions become more effective and you can actually build muscle just by following these key techniques, okay? Because a lot of people waste time in the gym, they don't really know what they're doing. So we're going to make sure that you get your training to the highest standard possible using this blueprint. Now, order of importance. We're going to look at all of these four key things in detail, but we're going to rank them in order of importance. So the first thing you have to focus on at all times is your form. Then it's going to be your tempo, so how you control the weight, the speed of your repetitions, the intensity, okay, so how hard you're training, and then the fourth, once we've nailed all three of these things, is to add weight, add reps each session, so we're progressively overloading the muscle. Intensity and progressive overload should never be achieved if we sacrifice your form and your tempo. So let's look at your form first. Now, the setup is key on all exercises, so taking the time to run through a specific steps to set up on the machine. There's form videos for every single exercise, so there's no excuse here for you not really understanding how to set up and execute the movement properly. Now, we maintain perfect form throughout the lift. True progression is when you can add weight and add reps while keeping perfect form. Okay, if you start to do stuff like this to complete a rep, just to hit a number each week, it's not true progression because the exercise has a specific movement path. If the movement path changes to get one extra rep, we aren't really doing the exercise properly. So true progression is when you maintain perfect form and then you can add weight and reps. The golden rule is that your last rep should look the exact same as your first rep. The only thing that changes is the speed of the rep because your muscles are fatigued and you're training closer to failure. So this is the key things you need to focus on for form. Now, the second thing is your tempo. So the tempo is the speed at which you control the negative or the eccentric portion of the lift. So the negative portion of the lift is the part where we have to fight against the weight from it flinging back. Okay, the concentric part of the lift is the contracting part. So on this machine fly here, the contraction is when I bring my arms forward because I'm fighting against the weight. So that's when I use all my energy. But if I don't control the weight back, it's just going to fly back, which is what a lot of people do. But there's a lot of muscle stimulus that happens when we control the eccentric part of the lift. So we're going to aim for 2 to 3 second eccentrics on all lifts, and ideally pausing in this stretch position at the bottom right here. You're going to learn your form faster by controlling the weight at all times. You control the weight, you don't let the weight control you, which leads to 100% control. And when you have this, you really feel the muscle working and you leave no room for error, for little form breakdowns, injuries, and for you to cheat your reps and your weight increases each session. You need to focus on contraction. Contraction is the most important, so don't do crazy eccentrics of 5 seconds, okay? 2 to 3 seconds is totally fine, but the majority of the work and the muscle building happens when we contract. So this part of the lift here, when we contract the muscle is when the bulk of the muscle breakdown happens, but we need to control the eccentrics. So that is tempo. Once you've nailed your form and your tempo on all lifts, it's time to work on your intensity. The number one thing people don't achieve in the gym is high enough intensity, which is why they never grow proper muscle. Because in order for you to grow muscle, you need to break it down. And in order to break it down for it to grow back stronger, we have to train hard enough. So it isn't about how difficult you find the exercise, it's about how close to muscular failure you got. Okay? Now we're watching me here, okay? This is probably where people would stop. Realistically, I've got a couple more in me. Okay, I think I get maybe 2 or 3. Okay, I'm still maintaining perfect form. The only difference is that the rep has slowed down. Okay, so form is still perfect. There's no form breakdown. My core is engaged. I'm not jerking the weight down, but I am training hard as hell, pushing it to failure, as you can see here. And this is kind of the intensity that we look for. All right, and at the end, I even do some partial reps just to get the most out of the lift. Okay, so I do 2 to 3 half reps just to get some more stimulus on the muscle once I can't do any more. But we don't go near this intensity until we've nailed our form and our tempo, okay? Because if we break those down, we're not gonna be in a good place, okay? So 0 to 2 reps in reserve is kind of what we want to aim for. So reps in reserve is how many reps you had left in the tank before you couldn't do any more. So we want to fail and stop at around 0 reps left, like here. Couldn't do any more proper ones, or 2 below this. But the thing about beginner lifters is they greatly underestimate how hard they could have trained. So for you, I just want you to train as hard as possible with perfect form and tempo. What you can ask yourself is, if somebody had a gun to my head, could I do another rep? Okay? That's what you have to ask yourself. If my life depended on this, if my kids were going to die, if my family was going to die, could I have done one more with perfect form? And usually the answer is yes. The golden thing as well in terms of the mindset is to open up into the pain, because we can feel the pain and we start to avoid it. We run away in our head. We lose our presence. We lose our focus, which is why mindfulness, meditation, and inner peace is so important. Gym is meditative, okay? Weight training is meditative. You're meditating, you're focusing on your internal state and your body. So if you open up into the pain and accept it, that this is a prerequisite for building muscle, that the fact that you're now feeling this intense pain is good. It means you're succeeding. When it comes to weightlifting and weight training, we actually want to fail, okay? Failure is success in weight training. There's nothing wrong with setting a weight goal of trying to hit 10 reps and failing at 8, okay? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So we want to strive for failure, and you want to focus on the movement path. So what I mean by this is, when you get to the harder reps, don't focus on just trying to get the weight from point A, which is all the way up here, okay? Don't focus on trying to get it from here to point B, which is down at the bottom, okay? So this is point B, up here is point A. Don't focus on trying to bring it from here to here as quickly as possible. All you need to focus on is taking it through the perfect movement path with perfect form. And if you fail here, that's totally fine. But if you rush the process, you end up breaking down your form and you lose the technique, you lose the tempo, and we don't want that, okay? So focus on the movement path, keep the last rep the same quality as the first. The only thing that changes is the speed. Now, once you've nailed all 3 of those things, form, tempo, intensity, it's time to move on to progressive overload. So we need to be effectively stimulating the muscle each week. So as we get stronger, if we kept doing the same in weight and reps, we wouldn't be effectively breaking down the muscle. So we need to progress each week. So when picking your weight, okay, you look to find a challenging weight that allows you to fail on 0 to 2 reps in reserve. You would do 1 to 3 progressive warm-up sets with lighter weights to get to this weight. So for example, if I was doing 36 kg, I might do 1 set with 15 kg for high reps, 12 reps. Then I might do 1 set with 25 reps for 6 reps. And then I might do 1 set with 30 kg for 6 reps. So my muscles are effectively stimulated. I've warmed up to the exercise movement path, and I'm feeling warm and ready to smash my heavy working sets. So find a challenging weight. From there, you will train hard, okay? And then you will try to increase reps each week. As soon as you hit the top end of the rep range, so for example, the rep range is 6 to 10 reps. Once you hit the 10 reps, okay, or you get close to it, it's time to increase the weight. So for example, here, I got 36 kg in my with my first set, and I got 6 reps. So that is on the low side. Okay, so the chances are when I go to set number 2 with 36 kg, I'm going to get below 6 reps, and then I would be out of the rep range. So what I did was I dropped to 34 kg, and I was able to stay in the rep range with 8 reps. So it's totally fine to use different weights across different sets. We just want to stay in the rep range, train as hard as possible. And if I got, let's say, 7 reps the next week with 36 kg, I could maybe stick with 36 kg, and then maybe I would get 6. But it's totally fine to use different weight across different sets, just aiming to stay in the rep range. It's also okay to go out of rep range. If you got 5 reps, it's totally fine. If you got 11 reps, it's totally fine. But we just want to see consistency, okay? So not using crazy different weights every session, but linear progression from week to week. So this might be a bit confusing, but it will all make sense as you go. In terms of increasing the weight, we want to increase minimally. Okay, so if I was using 36 kg, I wouldn't want to jump to 45 kg on my next session. Maybe 38, or just go for higher reps. Okay, so minimal weight increases. If you're using a barbell, these small plates here will be your best friend, and if you're using a plate stack, there's usually smaller jumps. And what you can actually do is, if you are using a plate stack and the jumps are too big for you, you can grab one of these very small plates, like 1.25 kg, and you can put it on the pin. So you put the plate against the hole, put the pin through it, and then you've added weight. That's not as challenging. Like I said, you can work out of rep ranges, and you want to make sure that you take the rest timers that have been programmed for you to make sure that you have enough recovery to train hard for every single set. And the key thing here is don't be afraid, okay? Don't be afraid to pick a weight that kind of scares you, because the worst thing that happens is it's just too heavy. If your form and your tempo are perfect, your setup is perfect, if you pick a heavy weight, you're just going to be able to get into position, do a couple reps, realize that you can't hit the rep range, it's too heavy, you've learned, means you have to go down weight. But there's a much better, you're going to achieve a lot more by trying to push yourself and challenge yourself to find out where your limit is than constantly holding back and picking weights that are just too safe for you. So this is progressive overload with weight. And the last bonus tip is using the notes section within the workout logger to track the adjustments on the machines that you're using. So for example, on the single arm machine row, I put the seat to number 8 and the chest support to number 5. And you can also track your warm-up set weights. So let's say I did 2 warm-up sets, I could also track what weight I used there. So that is the end of this video. There's going to be more advanced techniques regarding weight training in part 2 of this series. Check out that video. Don't overwhelm yourself with the information. Focus on this first. Once you feel comfortable with this, check out that other video and you can develop your training to a very high standard very quickly.